And Reeve, are you ready?
All ready.
All righty. Okay. So, do you want to share your screen, or I guess I can share my screen.
I sent along the new Miro link to everyone. So you should be able to get access to this board. Same password as test. And I put it in the chat for all panelists and attendees. So let me know if that didn't come through. And we'll be able to go ahead and get started. So once you're in there, just go ahead and grab a sticky note and talk about what was the best question or comment from the last session. Are there any things that surprised you a lot? Are there things that really good discussion? I know my group had a good discussion on abrasion testing and if there's a good public data set for standard materials like aluminum or titanium or any other kind of solar panel material. So I see a bunch of people moving around. Go ahead and meet up at frame 5. I'm going to summon everyone to my screen now. Assemble, and go ahead and add in what was the best discussion. Go ahead and add in what the best things you guys talked about.
So who adds us in, Reeve? The facilitator,
you can. Everybody.
Awesome.
Free. Carl, have at it. Jorge, it's all you.
And how about all the participants? Everybody, right?
Everybody.
Good.
Good question, Carl. All right, we see a couple good things in here. Discussion of non-space parallels for dust mitigation in nature is interesting. I think that's a great comment. We got some +1 stickies floating around, so go ahead and add those in as you're curious about them. How to keep industry, academia, and NASA up to date in different developments. So how to spread the word, because I heard in my focus group that this is the first time that they knew about this dust mitigation community meeting like this. So that's an interesting thing. Simulate be necessary testing. Yes, that's very, very necessary. And remember, go ahead and vote with those +1s on things. That'll bring our attention to it, and we'll really be able to lean into that information later. Building a community, even with cooperation. Yes, that's very interesting too. Company working with another equipment developer. That's also good. Get more involvement in the future. I'm glad you guys like that discussion, as we want your buy-in, and we want your efforts to help make this community even better than it was. And it's great to see all the different things people have been working on, as we want to make sure there aren't any gaps. I'll put the link to the Miro that we're all working on once again in the chat, so everyone can see it. What kind of testing is adequate? I think there's a great things. Up next, I think we're gonna move over to the EVA and habitation section. I'm just gonna read off some of these things, and I'll summon you guys over, and please add comments about what you think was interesting about their questions here. So this is for EVA as relates to dust. So grab some of these blue stickies and share your comments of what you think was interesting. What are the most voted on sticky notes? Standardization of as many things as possible. I did hear a rumor that NASA is having a standards draft being circulated right now. Please add in blue what things you want standardized. So
Yeah.
grab a blue sticky. What do you want standardized? Or what do you want standards about? How long do these discussions last? These
so
boards last in perpetuity. Over to you, Jorge.
Yeah, what I was going to say, yeah, I just want to make sure that people can see what's going on. Everybody's in the Miro, and if not, we can share our Zoom. Let's see what's happening.
All right. It looks like we got a couple different specs being added in here. Unfortunately, we locked that down, which is good. There's a question on here about how we engage with international partners. I see a comment from Paul in the stat, and is this chaos? Well, it's a good question, as I think there's still a lot of community connections being generated here, and we heard from a couple people in my group that it was great to email back and forth, as this is the first time they've really interacted with this community. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to looking at the next item here, which is surface mobility. So we want to see what these guys care about. So I'm going to bring people to my screen, bring everyone to me. In the middle top, you can get rid of everyone's cursor, so you don't have to look at those moving around quite so much. So what is the simulant use lifetime? Do you guys also care about this? Go ahead and add comments if you care a lot about these questions. There's a question in there. Oh, you keep getting 404 errors at the Miro links. Is anyone else having that problem? I think we have 82 people in the Miro, so a fair number of people got to join. I don't know if that's a VPN thing or other issues. What do these guys care about for the surface mobility? We'll move on to the next action items, and then we'll turn it over to Jorge after we look at the action items for what he thinks are the next steps and how to wrap this up. So I'm going to summon everyone one more time to the center here, because I think we'll want to center in on the action items. So we're going to bring everyone to me. So grab these yellow sticky notes and look at what the next action items are. I think there's Chen Fu Chen put something in there about engaging this audience. We put a Google Doc of contacts is something I was thinking, so people can engage more, get the info that they need. There's a Confluence, is what Andrea noted. I think actually we get more people on the Confluence so they can see all the different discussions. I see there's something for a proposal and oh, it's moving too fast. Proposal discussion and writing workshop. So yeah, what proposals really need to be put together, and there's the way we can raise the standard of the proposals that we see. Yeah, so this section is all about building connections and seeing where we want to go next. So if you guys want to see something specific about Jorge in the Dust community, please put them in the things here now. So it looks like there's effort. move beyond the wiki? Is there a way to get an MS Teams group or Discord or Slack channel talking? How can we get requirements built up? Let's talk about what kind of requirements do we want. I see a lot of sticky notes being voted on that one. So please, let's add some specificity to that. Do we need requirements for dust, seals? What kind of filters we need? All right. So I think this is great. Jorge, as people are kind of filling in these last action items here, did you want to say a couple words about where the dust focus group is going next and how to get in, or do you want to run by the leads and see what a great thing that they learned was? Over to you, Jorge.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's quickly just run through each of the focus group leads. Well, I guess the breakout group discussion leads to see what are the things that really kind of stood out from their discussions. And these folks are adding to the mirror board. This is fantastic, especially as we're trying to sort of kind of wrap things up, especially looking at the next steps. So if we want to run through the things from the different leads, and then we can talk about what can be the next steps with at least, especially with the dust mitigation focus group. But I think there's a lot of cross linkages with the different focus groups as well, focus areas. So like extreme access, right? Power systems, ISRU. So yeah, so let's start with Reeve, if you want to go ahead, since you're already talking, let's go ahead and if you want to just quickly report out what was the things that stood out from your group.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I think one of the things that was really stood out is people are looking for published data on how lunar simulants actually behave compared to the actual dust properties. Another thing that they care about is their adhesion properties and also their abrasion properties. Secondly, if you keep testing with the same abrasive simulant, is it going to break down and not work that well? There's also talk about things you can and cannot test on Earth. For example, it's nearly impossible to test at 1/6 G. It really adds, you really got to get on the moon to see how some of these things work in the end, is the measure. And there's also questions about dust transport at the border between sunlit and shadowed regions. So there's talk about how that would be pretty hard to study in a large enough vacuum chamber, and how to get some long-term abrasion data as well. The last thing is if everyone's kind of used the same kind of stimulants, simulants, excuse me, is this going to bias results a little bit? Are there gaps in the data set that won't be done correctly? With that, I'll turn it back to Jorge.
Okay, great. All right, so let's move on to Atunu. Do you want to share what was the sort of the highlights from the sustainable, not sustainable, surface plume interactions breakout group?
Yes. First of all, let me commend Brandon. He did a great job and setting up this and running this meeting. We had a lot of discussions, so great job, Brandon. And actually, he made a very good heat map. So I'm just parroting out of that heat map. All credit to Brandon. So can Brandon speak, because he did most of the job, or you want me to speak?
We'll have to get him promoted here.
I think he might be already promoted. Or not.
I don't think he is.
Was it Brandon Kraft?
Oh, no. Yes, Brandon Kraft.
That is correct.
He wrote in and said that he was muted and
This is great, guys. I feel special because I've been promoted. It says.
Oh, he's here. He made it.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Brandon. Yeah.
All right, I will take a stab at this, and hopefully you can chime in as needed. So I am looking at the first challenge that we looked at, which was all about, the data still needed for plume surface interaction. So we kind of had two main questions that we were looking at: geotechnical properties.
Yeah, do you want to share your screen, Brandon?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. Let me do that. All right. So you guys should see my screen now. So this first challenge was all about data needed for plume surface interaction. So we had two kind of main questions we were trying to answer. Geotechnical properties we need to know about the landing sites, and then for the landing sites. And then the second one was landing, launch, and transport dust ejecta plume data needed to validate, so modeling tools and those sorts of things. So what we did here is the team went through and voted, like many of you did, but as they were going through the next, discussing each of these sort of columns, I went through and just kind of heat mapped in a simple kind of anything that was 3 or around 3. I used a blue kind of circle, and anything over that I used red. So the red ones received a lot of votes. So if we look at this geotechnical properties and thinking about data, a lot of folks tend to gravitate towards mass and particle size distribution. Terrain layout was another topic that received a lot of votes, and imaging and video to show the dust ejected trajectory. So you feel free to peruse this. I also, at the bottom here, I kind of summarize some of these, kind of key topics, so I can just sort of touch on those. That's easier to read. So in addition to what I just mentioned, so gas and particle velocities, ejecta angle, dust mapping using optical methods, rock abundance, under surface layer. These are sorts of things that kind of came up throughout the discussion. The next thing we did was we looked at this challenge area here, which was all about technical gaps that might remain and are critical, that deserve sort of further attention. And the two main questions we were looking at answering were, current dust ejecta plume transport models, are they sufficient, and or are higher fidelity models needed? And I really liked this one comment, sufficient for what? And I'm glad someone voted, because yeah, I think we could add a bit to it. But the second one was, what technology gaps exist in preventing lofted dust from affecting ascent descent systems? So again, heat map that, and these are some of the top ideas here that I'm showing you. One of them was, no higher fidelity modeling of behavior of rocket engine exhaust under lunar conditions are required to properly define structural properties of landing material. Another one I'll just cherry pick, dust kicked up.
30 seconds, Brandon.
Okay, so you guys take a look at this, and feel free to comment to these, but we had effects of dust on visibility and resilience and repairable in situ landing pad construction methods. All right, so the last area that we looked at was technologies that already exist. And some of the top ideas here were around full scale firing of descent engines and a dirty TV AC won't be easy. Zamboni, a large surface area. So you guys can kind of see some of the ideas that kind of populated out of that. So I'd encourage you guys to kind of peruse this and add your comments and any questions that you might have, and the team will synthesize all of that. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you so much, Brandon. Let's move on to the next one. Angela, do you want to summarize what your group discussed and what things stood out in the discussions?
Sure.
If you want to share your screen. Yep.
I can share the Miro board, potentially. Well, I can't. Can somebody else share the Miro board? Apparently, it's
yeah,
not
I can share.
So yeah, we talked.
Here we go.
Thank you. Talked about a lot of things. I think Reeve touched on a few of them earlier. Standards came up a lot because there's a lot of technology that's been worked on in terms of suits and habitats and airlocks and things in the past 40 or 50 years, but making sure that everything works together and making sure that all the nitty-gritty details really work together is something that's really important. We had some really good conversations about the need for dust monitoring technologies and a demonstration of that on the moon. So we can do a lot of mitigation testing, or, you know, developing procedures for helping keep suits clean or keep, you know, dust out of habitats. But, you know, we don't know how well they actually do unless we have a good monitor. Or, hey, we're seeing your email. Or, yeah, unless we have a good monitoring
Sorry. There we go.
demonstration, like actually on the moon. Things, you know, people were really interested, of course, in the particle size distribution and properties of the dust itself, specifically with, you know, regards to its effect on the materials. So abrasiveness, adhesion, the electrostatic properties and how dust behaves became pretty important. I think we had some good conversations about how you might use ideas from terrestrial technology, things that we already know how to do to contain contaminants. So if, you know, dust is kind of in the air, how you might, you know, work on specific ways to keep it contained. And then how that is separate from keeping things clean, right? So you have dust that can be wiped on things, on suits or on rovers or, you know,
30 seconds.
habitat. We did, at the end, we had a lot of talking about, you know, kind of, it would be nice if everybody knew all of the players, and that's a little bit of a hard thing to do. So ISRU has created a nice who's who thing on the Confluence wiki pages. So potentially that is a good next step to help build up some collaboration and, you know, understand who is doing what so that people can, you know, move forward in a more concerted way to keep things from being siloed and stuck behind, you know, different sorts of competition sensitive stuff or whatever, to get more coordination and more planning. So there you go, Reef.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you, Angela. That was great. Okay, let's move on to our next focus group. Carl.
Okay, guys, I will share screen. Can you hear me?
Your group thing came out.
Okay, yeah, let me share my screen. And I'll just share the Chrome, Google Chrome. You see it? I don't hear anybody.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So similar, I'm going to zoom in and out. Similar to what the other one, everybody else talked about is, you know, the need to improve. So I'm just go through the you know, takeaways. Need to improve and understand whether experiments we do on the Earth are relevant or how relevant they are to the Moon. And this is both in terms of are the simulants of adequate nature, and are the testing facilities representative, and thus then also the need to do testing on the Moon as well to verify whatever technology development that is on there. So that's kind of like, what's the problem, what needs to be done. And some of the technology gaps you can read for yourself. A big one is sealant, seals and connectors, power connectors, and vacuum and gas and liquid seals. Seal once, seal twice, you know, multiple times over time. That technology needs to be developed. And we also try to look in some positive attributes or aspects of dust. So additive manufacturing with dust, is there a way we can actually turn you know, the lemons to lemonade and do something really useful for this? Potentially even, you know, building burns, blow dust, you know, through rocket exhaust or something, actually use it in a way instead of just having it to be a negative attribute that has to be mitigated. Okay. So some things that were discussed in some detail that we thought were pretty interesting was biomimicry in terms of, you know, what can we have lessons learned from attributes on the Earth.
30 seconds, Carl.
Oh my goodness. Okay, camel eyes, whatever, lashes, and gecko feet and things like that. Who needs to talk? We need to talk more to engaging DoD and foreign entities as well, not just NASA. So what analogous people could we be talking to? And the big question we have for the group is, you know, is the current LSIC model sufficient for communities, you know, spanning, you know, community and engagement? Want to end on non-traditional players, automobile industries and all. Who can we learn more things from as well? So
thank you very much, Carl.
Okay. That's it. You said that.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Carl.
Okay. I will unshare now.
Awesome. Great, thank you. Okay, and I think our last one is going to be Sarah. If you want to talk about your group and what you do, what are the things that stood out?
Yes, some of the things have already been mentioned by both Reeve and Angela. In particular, connecting people, doing a better job of that. One of the things that came up in our group was the fact that there are some definite limitations to simulations that we can perform on Earth. Vacuum chambers, apparently we don't get to the same level of vacuum that there is on the moon. There's the gravity issue, and so there's a need to understand how much of an impact that's going to have, because Ryan and Creel from Apollo mission said, we tried to figure this stuff out beforehand. We launched it up there, and then guess what? It wasn't anything like what we thought it was going to be like. So that really outlined the need not only for better testing, conditions on Earth, but also what we really need is some sort of test platform on the moon where we can drive things around and see what happens in actual lunar conditions. So that was one of the big things that came out of our group. And then some of the other things were similar to what had been mentioned earlier of, just getting a better understanding of the characteristics of dust. Is it different at different locations, in the Mare, in the highlands, the poles, what is it like in these different places? And then the simulants that we're working with, what are their limitations? How long can you use one before it breaks down? Are the ones that we have representative of the various places that we would want to go? Have we ground truthed them against actual lunar regolith, dust, whatever? So those were, some of the technical things, and then the connections, that people felt like, hey, I want to know who's doing dusty TVAC so I can talk to them and we can, figure out ways to solve mutual problems that we have. So somebody mentioned that ISRU has got a who's who. That might be something that we want to build on for some of the other groups as well, to, give people
30 seconds.
Who's out there and who's has what expertise. So.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. That was great. Okay, so I think we're here wrapping up. Thank you all. Apologies for that. Thank you everyone for participating in the workshop and sticking around. These boards look fantastic. There's a lot of information, a lot of data, I think, there that we're going to have to digest. But between the sort of initial information that folks provided during the registration and as well as the information that people put in their, in these Miro boards, that's really going to be a fantastic information that we're going to start digesting, hoping that there's going to be a lot of outcomes. So the whole purpose of this workshop really was to start building these collaborations, really get, what are the things that, hear from you in the community of what are the things that are really sticking out, that's standing sort of near to the top. But this is just the beginning, right? There's a lot of fantastic things that came out of this. One of this is, for example, like I heard multiple times being said, like, we don't know who, and it'd be great to have some kind of listserv. So I'm going to just the pitch for the Lunar Surveyation Consortium. We have the website, right, that you can visit, and we do have a survey. So especially for many of you who have not, were not aware or have not participated with LSIC, fill out the survey, and so you can start receiving information not only about the mitigation focus group, about activities that are going on, but also about the different focus groups as well. And so here's the link to the survey. I also put that in the chat box. And as I was saying, this is just the beginning. So we are going to take some of the information that came out of this workshop and we are going to be using the next set of monthly dust mitigation focus group meetings to really focus on some of these items that people highlighted as things that, you know, we need more information, or here's some of the gaps areas. Really start
Jorge,
sort of
I'm sorry.
deeply. We didn't
Jorge,
have enough
you're
time.
breaking up really badly.
Yes.
Could you turn off your video?
Oh, yes, I can. Let me stop turning. Okay, is that better?
Yes, much. Could you go back to where you were sort of giving your overall takeaway? You broke up a significant amount.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, so what I was just saying is that I put in the chat box the link, so sign up to for LSIC. It has so you can get access, so you can get emails to participate in our monthly breakout groups, and especially we're going to be focusing the next set of monthly meetings for the dust mitigation focus group on some of these topics that have come out of the workshop. So this is just the beginning. So thank you again for participating. Michael, are you on?
Yep.
I'm going to see if you wanted to say a few words.
Sure. I just want to thank you all for joining this LSIC dust mitigation workshop today. I saw a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces. So if you've worked with NASA or the LSIC before, thank you for coming back. And if you're new to the LSIC, welcome. If you presented today, thank you for the time and for sharing your knowledge with the community. I heard a lot of great discussions in the breakouts, and I think, as Jorge mentioned, this is just the beginning. It's the time now for Jorge and I and STMD and APL to start processing all the data that we gathered here today. I'm confident that the outcome of the workshop will be a starting point for many of discussions to come for the LSIC focus group, as Jorge just mentioned, and actions within and outside of NASA. And that actions piece, I think, is the key. We do intend to take the ideas that are the best, the freshest, the outside the box, new way of thinking, any way you look at it, to take those ideas and incorporate them into the lunar exploration dust mitigation strategy. So for example, just, you know, based off of the discussion that I heard today, I can tell you that right off the bat, I take the coordination between the players to heart. A few years ago, we realized that we needed to get coordinated. We've done a lot of things within the agency to get stakeholders and tech developers all on the same page. I established 2 forums, one for the stakeholders, another one for the tech developers, for example. So if you are internal to NASA, we can add you to those discussions. If you're not, just let me, if you're not on them already, so just let me know. And for our external partners, this is why we have the LSIC. There are real legitimate reasons why we have internal and external discussions, but we do want to break down the walls to the greatest extent that we can. Not to say that NASA internal folks aren't unreachable, we're all fairly approachable. So maybe Jorge and I need to take another look at how to spread the word a little better about the focus group. Also, you all take it upon yourselves to spread the word about the LSIC. The takeaway message here is that we take your inputs very seriously. We want to address them and make your needs both known and met. The other thing is, you know, I would love to see everyone using that Confluence tool more for collaboration. This can be the who's who for the technical Facebook. I heard that over and over again. We mentioned an Excel sheet, but I'm not sure how much something like that would really be used. If you're not using the Confluence tool, I suggest that you do. It's there for collaboration. So we're already starting to address them because we're talking to you guys and bringing you up to speed on all the tools that are available. So again, thank you all. Special thanks to the folks that did the breakout rooms, the moderators, and of course, an extra special thanks to Jorge and Andrea. We definitely couldn't have done this workshop without you two. So thank you both.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, and thank you for all your help, and especially the speakers and the breakout facilitators and the lightning talk presenters. I mean, this was just a fantastic workshop, and we really, really appreciate it. And this is just the beginning, and we're looking forward to really seeing you again during some of our focus group discussions and meetings, and hopefully we'll see collaboration. So thank you again, and I think with that I think we're going to end the workshop. Thank you so much. This has been really fantastic.